Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to hear me talk today. I'd also like to say a massive thanks to Maxine, Fab, Bronte, the entire team at Spark Festival, not only for putting on these awesome speakers, activities, and workshops, but giving me this opportunity to talk today. So, by way of introduction, my name is Matt Townsley, and I'm the founder of M-Dash. We are a collective of specialists who bring ideas, your ideas, to market. And we love research, design, and tech. So I think it's a given that everyone here has had a moment, with a product or service that made you sit back and think, wow, where the experience really surpassed your expectations. So maybe you were expecting a process to be a lot more difficult than it was, or maybe something was just an absolute sheer delight to use. For me, a great example of this, if any of you have on your phone the New South Wales Service digital driving license. So the onboarding experience for that was so simple. You scanned your physical license via the app and voila, you were done. It was just super, super easy, super simple. Now, this is something common to all successful products and startups out there that excel in surprising and delighting their customers. I know it's a tired old trope, but the saying surprise and delight, it still holds merit. So at M-Dash, we've taken this, we've built upon it, and we've built our entire methodology on giving your idea the greatest chance of success. So today, I will be talking just about that. We call it action, adventure, danger, and romance. And I'll be giving you just an overview of what our take is on a customer-first approach. So, action, adventure, danger, and romance. It's a framework that founders, product owners, if you're a member of a product team, if your organization holds ideation days or hackathons, you can apply to really amplify your big idea, your spark. So, without further ado, let's dive right in with the first phase, action. So, for us, action is the outcome that your idea is driving at and ultimately we want to achieve. So we think it's the opening chapter and it really sets the scene for the entire story. So think of the action as laying the foundations. As with any great novel, you don't get to know the entire plot right at the beginning. Instead, it unravels from chapter to chapter as the story goes deeper and deeper. So to put this into context, let's say you have an idea. You've identified a gap in the market and it's looking to provide a solution. At this stage, you don't yet know exactly how it's going to do this, but the threads are there. So in the action phase, sometimes the idea or solution we find mistakenly already has been preconceived as exactly what the customer wants. But in our experience, this often isn't the case. You don't know exactly what it's going to be or what that solution will be until we move through the rest of the story. That's why we let the action guide us through onto the next phase. So, as this is an overview of the framework that we use at M-Dash, with each phase, I'm going to be giving you some examples of the types of activities and workshops that we undertake. So this is obviously not an exhaustive list, but it certainly shows the types of workshops that we run and why. I'll give you a bit more sort of reasoning why we do it. So in some cases, they are absolutely necessary and we always run them, but we have our little black book of workshops. So with every project, we'll sit down, we'll figure out what's most applicable, what makes the most sense for this particular part, for this particular project or particular stage. So shown on screen, it's in a rough order of how we would approach them. We start with prioritize and align. So this is an absolute must-have kickoff to every project, and we like to get every stakeholder in the room, all the major and minor characters in the story. And we get everyone to list what they think are going to be the key features that will become part of the solution. Then as a group, we collectively rank each of them from most important to least important, easy through to difficult. So this becomes a really, really great way to start creating a roadmap, as we can already see what's going to be the most advantageous way to start. So for example, grouping a bunch of features together and focusing on them as a set first. It also lets everyone get on the same page. as they can all see what each other deems the most important. But we can get a cohesive vision here and collectively decide what's going to be the opening chapter of our story. So when we say idea focus, not feature focus, we lean into the classic statement, you are not the user. So assumptions will have been made as to what customers want. And these can and will and should be challenged as we really dive into the adventure and start speaking to customers to find out more about them. With any unexpected plot twists, where you thought the story was going might not be where it ends up, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. We like that, we expect it, we embrace it. Finally, plan in phases. Now, it doesn't make sense to attempt everything at once. With that feature set that came out of the prioritization exercise that we talked about, we can start there and we can build on it. It gives us opportunity to make solid progress, and then potentially you could launch that with beta customers while you begin on the next feature set that sits there on your roadmap. You let your story evolve and let the plot develop as your characters embark on their adventure. The biggest outtake from the action phase that we would like you to take away is you be confident that your idea is robust enough to succeed, but be flexible in the application of it. In the words of Pablo Picasso, you have to have an idea of what you're going to do, but it should be a vague idea. Okay, now that brings us to the fun part, adventure. So for us, the customer is the hero in your story, who you're sending off on this grand adventure. Because of the action phase, we know the final goal our hero is heading towards, and we know some of what needs to be done to get there. But now we get to find out what steps they need to take in order to complete their journey. So if you think of your customers as the heroes, then as you know, every good hero needs an origin story. This is where we understand their motivation. So what reason do they have to be on this journey? What triggers do they have? And what can we leverage when we're creating a product or service that we want them to use? So what do they want? What can we provide them with to help them continue on their adventure? And how does this align with your idea? So what are the intersection points between the journey they're already on and the adventure that you're creating for them? We feel it's not enough to just know who your customers are. You really need to know them inside and out. So the obvious starting point is simply talking to your customers. There are strengths in all methods of research, and we employ them all, both quantitative and qualitative. But at Endash, we strongly believe at this stage, nothing beats talking one-on-one with your customers. It produces a richer backstory and a deeper understanding of their current journey. Now, if you can couple this with stakeholder interviews and domain expert interviews, you start to gain a much wider picture of all the characters involved. So not just the steps in your hero's journey, but also all the action that had to happen behind the scenes in order for them let them continue on their journey. As we fill out their backstory, it's critical to document the journey they've been on, noting all the steps they've taken to complete a goal. How many goals occur within a specific time frame or a chapter in your story. Once we understand the journey that they've been on so far, that's when we can start to plan the adventure that we intend to take them on. So you understand their current journey, and that's when we can start to create the future journey. So knowing the steps that they've taken means we can design solutions that make these steps, that can make them easier, can make them quicker, can make them more enjoyable, and really elevate that experience. We can pinpoint moments of inefficiency and optimize for those. Or we can create a brand new adventure entirely, but knowing what to avoid and what to build upon. So, to truly take your hero on the grandest adventure you can, we profoundly believe that knowing the journey your customers have taken lets you create new, meaningful experiences for them. And I know this is almost a cliche to use. I'm certain many of you have seen this quote before, but get closer than ever to your customers, so close that they tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. Now, I must warn you, viewer discretion is advised as we move on to the next phase It's not for the faint of heart. It's danger. We know all about our hero. We know where they've come from, and we know the adventure that we're taking them on. But as with any great story, there are always challenges that the hero needs to rise above. So these plot twists will be unexpected. You won't always see them coming, but once they are revealed, you can design a solution to overcome them. They should be embraced. They present awesome challenges, and they really produce surprising results. So as you talk to your customers, you're going to hear all about what is stopping them from achieving their goal. So these are, you would know these as the pain points in their journey. And this is the villain in your story. So we need to help our hero thwart the evil villain's plans and triumph against them. Discovering these moments will present a challenge. So it might be a pre-existing problem. It's something that you yourself have come across when using different products and services. It may be something that's always happening to customers. It's a consistent pain point. But this just means it's a great opportunity to really garner that aha moment that we talked about at the beginning by providing a solution that previously didn't exist. So the example that we actually used right at the beginning, when I was talking about the digital driving license, previously for such an important document, it would have been absolutely unthinkable to have such an easy onboarding experience. No doubt it would have involved countless forms, a really laborious process, as we all expect. So to provide such a brilliant solution really elevates that experience and makes it much more memorable, certainly stuck in my mind. So we've mentioned along the way about making assumptions, and this is a perfectly acceptable way to plan and design a solution. But it's imperative we validate those assumptions before we proceed too far. This ensures that you don't waste precious money or time on what you think is that number one absolute must-have killer feature. Because as we start talking to customers, it might just turn out that they don't care about it as much as you do. There may be way more things that they place on their list of importance high above that. That's okay. It just means you keep it on the roadmap, but you just push it down the priority list. It also means if a minor villain suddenly becomes our hero's arch nemesis, and we need to pivot, we haven't overinvested, because an overinvestment at this stage, making a pivot, making a change such as that, it can make it hard, slow, or difficult to implement. And by caveat, or as a caveat, a pivot needn't be a huge change in the idea. It can be, but it can also just be a slight shift in the adventure, so it needn't be as scary as you think. Oops. So before it achieves villain status, we need to hear about the same danger from several customers. So really we're talking about pattern recognition. So with the journey they've been on, we're looking for those moments that have been experienced by all customers that we speak to, so many different people. When we uncover these moments, we think of them as either aspirational or cautionary. Cautionary, as we know danger is lurking nearby and we need to help our hero get past it. And aspirational, as we can lift them to a great victory. To these ends, our methodology of action, adventure, danger, and romance is a truly agile approach. So by being reactive, we can identify and design for the cautionary moments and proactively design for the aspirational ones. Following this methodology means you can identify these moments of high emotion and really plan and design your way around. This ultimately achieves the maximum possible impact for your customers. In the words of Peter Drucker, quality in a service or product is not what you put into it, it is what the customer gets out of it. So, that brings us to the final phase, and who doesn't love a little romance in their lives? For a great story to really have it all, you need a love interest for your hero. And we believe this love interest should be your idea. You need to capture your customer's attention and make your idea desirable. But visual appeal alone is not enough. So you need to make your customers fall in love with your idea to truly give your story a happy ending. Now, there are so many different possible ways to make your product as desirable as possible. Obviously, far too many to list here, and certainly this is just an overview. But there are certainly definites that are the bare minimum you can do or avoid. So a surefire way to make your customers fall in love with your idea is reducing the barrier to entry and providing an absolute world-class, great onboarding experience. So what I spoke to you about with the digital driving license, just scanning their physical license, that was an incredible onboarding experience. So nobody wants to try to use a new product or service, get in there and not know what to do next. They just want to get straight in and do the thing that they came to do. So it's all about reducing that cognitive load. Bombarding your customers as well with request after request for data and almost accidentally front loading the entire experience can also be very off-putting and should be avoided where it can. Now, by getting to know our hero, we understand what has brought them here. So you should let them know why they should stick around by calling out exactly what goals you're helping them achieve and how you're going to help them do it. Flatter them by using the same words they do. It's unbelievable once you start to use little cues like that, how much difference that actually makes and how much more comfortable a customer will be using a product when you're talking in their language. So avoid using jargon. And remember, this is a product for humans. So don't be afraid to reveal your true personality. In short, make the product more human. Finally, you don't want customers to use your product or service once and never come back. So you need to make it sticky. You make it sticky as possible, one way to do this. Make sure you're constantly speaking to your customers and show that you're listening by updating features based off that feedback. So that one feature that they're potentially absolutely hanging out for, if they can see that you're always updating and improving, you're committed to your product, they'll be assured that eventually it will arrive and they'll stick around. So remember that the experience can and should be beautiful while solving a real human problem. Nowadays, customers, they're pretty sophisticated creatures. When it comes to new products, we've all been spoiled rotten with amazing services and products that are out there. So there really is no excuse not to meet this base level of expectation. In the words of my personal hero, Dieter Rams, good design is innovative, good design must be useful, good design is aesthetic design. So in summary, the story that you want to tell should have a plot that twists and turns. It should have characters rich in backstory, a hero that you want to see succeed as they run into danger and come out on top, and a romance that is everlasting. This is what makes a great idea into a product or service worthy of legend. So that concludes our talk today. So truly, I can't thank you enough for listening in. Now, if anybody has any questions, including where do I get me a sweet hat like this, then please use the email address that I've got up on screen. You can also jump into m-dash.com and contact us through that. So with any project that M- undertakes, whether it's with small local heroes or large organizations, we can jump into a specific part and help out with just that. So, if you want us to work with you and really get to know your customers, we're more than happy than focusing in on just a small phase or a small number of activities. Or we can help clients with the entire journey and really give your product the greatest chance of success as we see it through to market launch. So if you want to work with us on amplifying your idea, or you just want to hear more about our methodology, then please, again, contact me via the email on screen or via m-dash.com. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the amazing content and amazing speakers that are put on for the rest of the day. Have an awesome rest of the festival. And thank you all for listening in. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.